one of the biggest signs of a person lusting over someone rather than having that true love and that true passion, that true commitment is focused solely on that, the mainly the physical attraction. And that is the biggest thing. If my thing is only based on what you look like, and I think we all want to have an attractive partner. I think we all would like to say that we want to be attracted to our partner in some type of way physically, but that can't be the end all be all, and that can't be just the thing that I just go in on and just say this is the basis of my liking for you. And so that focus on it, or always just thinking that I gotta have the baddest chick, or I gotta have the most handsome man, or whatever the case may be, and I'm only focused on that piece of it, that is one of those that signs of just more lusting than love, or just more of a, I'm trying to build a genuine bond or relationship with somebody. So that focus on that physical attraction, that physical characteristics, the body shape, or whatever the case may be, or any type of like physical attribute somebody might have, and just being hung up on that, and that being the fundamental piece of how y'all move forward, is a big sign of someone lusting rather than someone pursuing something. Again, our culture is so immersed with kind of glorifying and romanticizing toxic relationships. Like I said, some of the things that are exacerbated on social media. So we talk about all these toxic traits, or what's your toxic trait? I know that was a key word back in the day, and but you'd be like, girl, me too, or boy, what I'm saying, I feel you, my homie, like stuff like that. The thing of it is that I think it's more reaffirming than anything, but also we got to understand that we kind of recreating the will of something that we don't know in the moment, maybe because we were young, that it's a generation, it could be a generational curse. And going back to the disconnect between men and women, is if we're sitting here talking about some of the things that are toxic, and we're talking about, man, you should do that, or reaffirming some of the behaviors that we reaffirm as a culture, it's not going to move us forward. It's going to keep us back. And I think we all kind of like hiding and joking, talking about it's just joke, it's just social media. But some people internalize that stuff. Some people really do believe some of the things that they're posting. So it's not just a post for a lot of people. It's not just jokes. And we can't just joke about certain things. I know some things may be funny. I'm a ha ha he he guy on Twitter all the time, but we have to understand what the message that we're putting out here, and the ability and the effect that it has. So toxic relationships is a really, really important topic for us culturally. And I'm gonna break it down here. So one of the main elements of toxic relationship is controlling behavior. And I'm only going to speak from a man's perspective, but this can happen on both spectrums, any sex, any gender. This doesn't just apply to one person. But from a man perspective, I think, theoretically, and some of the things that going back to, historically, our love or our affection, or the way we were taught to love, was to control our partner, or just have this manly aspect of dictating and being the leader and being the lead dog, which is all cool and all to a certain extent. I think there has to be a shift. And if you're seeing people starting to control your behavior, and, dictating where you can go and what you cannot do and what you cannot say and stuff like that, that is a huge major red flag of you maybe being in a toxic relationship. That inability to allow you to act as oneself, or you're only controlled, or you only can do what a said partner is saying that you can do, is a really, really big indicator of toxicity in that. And that is something that I would always tell people to be cognizant of when they, enter into some type of partnership or some type of relationship with one another. So that controlling behavior is one of those signs. And then another hot word I know is on social media is gaslighting. It has taken on a meaning of its own. I know some of the hot topics that we just kind of throw out there, but gaslighting is a huge thing. And to make somebody feel crazy for thinking a certain type of way, or to feeling a certain type of way, that gaslighting behavior it's so detrimental, because it makes you reflect back on yourself and think like, man, am I crazy? Or you start to question oneself, right? So not only is the connection off, but it's also like detrimental to your own self-esteem, and you start to question your own beliefs and your own confidence and all of that stuff. So that's another thing. And then disrespect and dishonesty. That, I mean, if it's rooted in disrespect and dishonesty, and we're lying to one another, or I'm disrespecting you, I'm calling you out your name, I'm doing said things that I wouldn't approve of you to do, then that is a huge thing you have to take in consideration in terms of a healthy relationship, or a healthy partnership, or a healthy pursuit of anything. the partner, to lie to them, for them to, because this is a vulnerable space for me to, share this life, or to share any type of time or space or any type of valuable thing, that in the one life that I do get, and you disrespected or you lied to me in a manner that detrimental to me, like that's very harmful. I can understand why a lot of people at the first sign of that, like, I don't want to deal with that at all. So I think that's another identifier of, one of those signs of a toxic relationship that might be coming on, is the pattern of disrespect and dishonesty that might be coming from a partner. And then lack of support from the partner. Certain partners are kind of self-consumed or overly critical. If that partner is not supporting you in your joint venture or your own individual, venture, or your own goals or your own aspirations, and they're just so consumed and overly critical about everything that you do, that's a big no-no for me. And that was something that I don't want to experience, or that's something that I would tell people, like, that's something you maybe want to shy away from, is because there's two individuals in this, right? So we should be watering each other's plants. Like, I should water you, you should water me. Just because this isn't my, what's important to you is not important to me, doesn't mean that I should lack consideration, in the sense of me not saying, hey, this is something that you care about, and I want to make sure that you feel loved in doing this, and you feel supported in doing this. And I see that all the time. Just because, whether somebody views something just corny or stupid, or doesn't bring in a lot of money, and doesn't, have any type of merit to another individual, that could be very demoralizing, because we're not really elevating them to be their true authentic self. Just like I said earlier, man, we're communal people, right? And so that's our nature, for, mankind to be around one another. And so my first piece of advice would be to join a social group of some sorts, and that helps with connecting with like-minded people with similar tastes and hobbies as yourself. One of the things that I kind of integrated myself with when I got here is a faith-based Christian organization. When I got here, that was something that helped me connect with like-minded people that has similar tastes, similar hobbies. And that could be anything from chess club, a math club, to people that's getting together to have a cigar at the cigar bar, if that's your niche and that's something that you really, really enjoy. But having those social groups and having somebody that affirms that you are not alone in some of your ideologies, some of your tastes, some of your interests, some of your disinterests. I know a lot of people bond about stuff that they're not interested in, and you can make that a whole group by itself. Having that kind of camaraderie around one another, where y'all can sit there and say, we have a basis and a foundational piece of why we hang together, and it makes you feel a part of a bigger, a bigger machine. Like, you feel bigger than oneself. It kind of elevates your self-esteem, that we all want to be loved, and we all want to be a part of something. We all want to be validated in that. So joining that social group could be a really, really important step for one if they're trying to combat loneliness. Some of the long-term effects of not being able to form a relationship is rooted really in evolutionary psychology, right? So humans are naturally social beings. We're communal people. We want to be within a community. We want to be around other people. We want to be social. We want to feel love. We want to feel all this affection, because that is our natural state as human beings in terms of our scientific makeup, right? So it's atypical for us to be alone. And in an individualistic society, I know that's kind of pushed, but I think that's kind of exacerbating some of the things that we're going through. Is we're pushing individualism, do it on your own, yada, yada. And it's a turmoil because it's a dichotomy. It's going against our social nature, our whole being, to be by ourselves. That's an atypical thing. Another thing is the ability to connect with others. Those shared experiences and receiving support is essential for developing emotional intelligence and resilience, right? So one of the things that we talk about on this podcast all the time is emotional intelligence. And what does that really look like? And I think that was one of those words that we kind of just throw out there and really have no kind of definitive definition for it. And I can go through the textbook definition of it, but I think the best served way of going about talking about emotional intelligence is being in tune with what is going on within yourself, as emotionally moving forward, right? And some of the things that's going on in that turmoil, and it could be just recognizing the emotion first, and then knowing what to do with those emotions is the second part. You can only get those experiences by dealing with other people, right? So the ability to connect with one another and those shared experiences and to receive that support, you have to have that rapport with one another to know and develop emotional intelligence. Because if you're relying on oneself, you're not going to know how to do it, right? And resilience is not built through just self. It's built through some of the experiences that we have with other one another. So that is one of those parts of emotional development, of you needing to be around other people to continue to develop that pact or that kind of callus on life, in terms of bringing yourself together and to being able to identify and deal with your emotions in a positive manner. You have to find some self-fulfillment in life, right? And a purpose in life. So I feel like your life satisfaction is going to be a little bit down if you're not around other people. If you're just kind of on this journey alone, it's not really fulfilling. Like if I'm just doing this on my own, I mean, it could be kind of fill my cup to a degree. But again, going back to my earlier point, we want to be loved by one another. We want to feel affection. We want to feel validated, and knowing that what we're trying to get at is really, really important, and other people feel that same way, right? So we can only have that in terms of if we have that connection with others as well. Our life satisfaction can go down really, really in a major way if we are not surrounded by those people that love us. And then